Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Outskirts Overland. I appreciate you guys all being here. It's week 12 of the stream slash podcast, and I appreciate everybody being here. A few things to get out of the way. First things first, if you are into Toyotas and you live in the Midwest, go ahead and follow Toyota Trucks of Arkansas. It's a Facebook group, a lot of good people there. I have seen a few more people from out of state looking to come into Arkansas joining the group lately, so that's pretty freaking awesome. And secondly, if you work for Go Fast Campers and you ever want to partner up and help out your boy get rid of his rooftop tent, I'm here for you. I'd love to do that. I'm just gonna keep putting it on here every week in hopes that after 200 of these, maybe they'll find some value in it. All right. And secondly, new kind of partnership with us here is Onyx Off Road. So I want to talk about Onyx Off Road a little bit so you guys know. It's downloaded on the App Store. It's also, if you got CarPlay or anything, it's going to be automatically on your CarPlay. You can map routes, do breadcrumbs. It has offline maps. It has private land, public land, BLM land. So Onyx Off Road is going to be a great resource for anybody trying to make sure they're going down the right trail they want to be going down or not going into any private land that's going to get them in trouble. So Onyx Off Road is very available. Um, Go check it out. I'll probably do a tutorial here in the next week or so on how to plan routes and stuff with it and how I do it. I've done a previous podcast just discussing it, but I've never done showing it. And since I made that podcast, I have since learned how to screen share and do all those things so that you guys can see what I'm doing as well. So this week I wanted to just touch on, I've had a couple guests on, but I wanted to take a break from that to just kind of be myself this week to talk about some things that I'm seeing in the overland space. More expo just did happen. Some more expos, huh, ironic. Some additional expos are coming up. It's kind of the beginning of the season. A lot of people around here say the more expo kicks off the season, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of the right time, April. And I would agree with that. It was crazy here in the Midwest, lots of tornadoes and stuff last weekend, so that kind of kiboshed start to our start to getting out. But regardless, regardless of any of that, just I mean, it is kind of the start to the season. A lot of things were introduced at More Expo. Looks like some new brands are getting into the overland space, and some brands that have been in the space sort of kind of are taking a bigger part in it. I did not go to More Expo, but like any other individual ever, you can for sure watch YouTube videos about what was there, and through my other social media buddies, I can see what they've, you know, their their stories and stuff. I kind of see what's out there. So I'm for sure seeing that. Um, so as the season gets started, hope everybody gets outside safely. Again, like I said, some pretty gnarly weather around my place this weekend. Some houses got torn up, and a little west of us, some really looks like some really gnarly tornadoes. So I hope those folks are doing okay. I hope that's all I can hope. Um, but yeah, so I want to talk about myself. I just spent quite a bit of time, and I've spoke about it a little bit on here. Um, Upgrading my truck, and I want to talk about it because I made some pretty expensive mistakes. And I've learned a few things from those mistakes. And granted, I'm going to talk about it, and they are in relation to suspension because that's where I messed up. Um, I kind of upgraded my suspension on my truck initially. I had Toy Tech, and this is nothing negative on Toy Tech, but I had Toy Tech 2.5 front lift springs in the front, or lift struts in the front with stock control arms, ball joints, the whole nine. And in the rear, I had, I don't remember what they were. They were a dual, they were like a dual valve single. They were a single piston, but they had like an extra place for um, oil. I think they were a Fox shock, but they weren't an external reservoir. So they had like two reservoirs internally. Either way, they're fine. Um, and Where I messed up is I did not have I had upgraded bump stops on the front, but they were not, you know, bigger. So essentially what occurred is not only my bushings failed prematurely, my eyelet bushings in the bottom on my Tacoma, it's IFS. So not only did those bushings fail me, but the shock bent. I had one of my shocks bent. Like it's got a little bend to it. And I was noticing it, like something just wasn't right on my truck. So I went and rotated my tires, reason to get in there. So I went and rotated my tires, and as I looked at it, I was like, "This shock is strut, whatever. It's done. Game over." Um, and I think a lot of that was due to the shock. The shocks didn't have enough travel. The shock was essentially my bump stop before my bump stop, if that makes sense. So that was no good. So I think that kind of ended the strut. Now, as far as the bushings are concerned, that just shouldn't have happened. So I'll be reaching out to them on that. That just shouldn't have occurred. Uh, so I really wish I could get. I really wish I could find a shock company, a strut company, whatever, for front struts that actually uses polyurethane bushings. Everybody, I think they get a lot of hate, but they're so good. They squeak a lot, but they're so good. Everybody that I see either has like a hardened rubber bushing at the bottom, or it's a metal like Heim joint style. And they're replaceable too, and I get it, but I just want polyurethane bushings. Like they're cheap, they're easy, they work, they're greasy. You can make them greasable. So, anyways, and again, I'm not bought by anybody, but I did get some shocks, front struts and shocks from Rough Country, which uh totally out of left field. I and again, they sent me these. I don't have to say anything good about them. They sent me M1 shocks and struts. They're like an aluminum bodied digressive valved shocks. They're not your normal what everybody knows Rough Country for, spacer lifts and those cheap N3 shocks that they have. And they're very affordable. And if you want to lift your truck, super affordable. But they sent me out these N1s because I was looking at Bill Steen's 6112s. And, I was just kind of seeing, you know, I'm a guy that's like, I'll email companies, not even because of this podcast. I'll just email companies. My truck's pretty cool, and I'll be like, hey, what can we do? You want to work together? You want to review? Do you have any pictures with this on the vehicle? And I said this way earlier, like my frame sliders on my truck. I'm leaning to the side right now for you guys that will listen. Free 99, free 99. And if you go look on, I'm not going to advertise that brand, but if you ever come across it, my truck is on their website. It is literally my truck on the website. They had just came out. Um, I had I had recently posted a review of something else I got from them. They saw my truck, they liked my truck, and they were like, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And I was like, "Absolutely!" They sent me frame sliders out, so pretty psyched on or rock sliders, whatever you want to call them, rock sliders, frame sliders. So got those for free. So as my front struts kind of bit the dust way prematurely, I only had them on for a year. Um, and I think part of that was quality, and part of it was just me. Um, the bump stop situation, and I addressed that as well. But anyway, so I was reaching out to companies, trying to get, see if I could get a discount or get whatever, blah 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 blah. Either way, Rough Country's like, we'll send you some shocks, and I was like, tight, yeah, perfect, that's awesome, and at this point, my last ones that were supposed to be way better crapped out on me in a year. So I was like, hey, man, if they're, whatever, you know, that's the right price. So I've had them on for probably, I guess, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks now. I drive a bunch though. And I've had a chance to get them, off road, not crawling quite yet, but on a bunch of different roads, gravel roads, potholes, different elevations, different things. And I'm be honest, they far exceed my expectations. And my truck runs way better than it ever did with the previous stuff on it, which was, from what I saw, the prices are 3 times more money. And along with this, because I went with digressive valve shocks, which actually is a little stiffer to keep from so much body roll. And the Bilstein 6112 is the same. This is a direct competitor to that. The Bilstein 6112 is digressive valved. The Toyota TRD Pro Fox shocks are digressive for this exact reason. And what that means is they're stiffer under like abrupt stuff, but as you get into bigger stuff, they soften like naturally. That's how they're valved. And that's how these are too. And they're adjustable. I think they go from 2 inches to 3.5 inches, like adjustable. I have mine set at three. I have 2 inches on the back, and I have extended rear M1 shocks. My shocks all match now. And they're aluminum bodied, rigid. There's not a bunch of different stuff. They're freaking nice. I mean, I got to tell you guys, they're actually kind of nice. And again, I'm like the rest of you guys listening to this right now, probably going, rough country? Yeah, they're decent too. Now they're not as cheap as the other rough country stuff. Like they're expensive, but they've upped their game. I mean, I can't say that I can't say anything bad about them. I mean, they've been great. I also going with digressive valve. I got rid of my sway bar. Um, no more sway bar at all. It was limiting me from what I really want to do. And honestly, I took it off and I don't even freaking notice it really. And those shocks make a huge difference. Like before, even with the sway bar, when I hit the brakes hard, it was like nose dive in. And anyways, I hate to say it, these shocks from first month driving on these shocks versus my other ones, these are outperforming them for again a third of the price. So I'm not going to give anybody advice, but maybe spend a little more time looking at like the mid-range stuff, like the Bilstein 5100s, 6112s, these M1 rough countries. I think they're all kind of pretty similar. I think that there's like Ebach makes a similar digressive valve, lift strut with different spring options. I do have a heavier spring on it now too, which makes a big difference. Um, so anyways, going over that, I did get extended bump stops now too. So I mean, these shocks should last longer just based on the fact that I'm not bump stopping through the shock, which was stupid. Further on, I got a U-bolt flip kit and the Timbren extended bumps for the rear. So I also, that the rears were okay, but I got free rears, so they went on and they look nice. They actually look really nice. But anyways, I got the extended bump stops for the rear because I have Ironman constant load springs. So there's a lot of travel. It's not a block lift by any means. So I got the Timbren um, flip kit with the big Timbren bumps I'm putting on. So I'm spending a little more time paying attention to some of the smaller things instead of the, you know, grabs you right out the gate things. I also did put on Grim Off Road upper control arms. They gave me 3.5 degrees of caster, which then turned into a whole nother situation where, with all the more travel I have now and the caster, then I was hitting my body mount and my fender. So chop that out last week. Did a body mount chop last week, which with the stock control arms, even with the mid travel suspension stuff, that was a non-issue. So I had to chop the body mount and I, notch the pinch welds and beat them back to no more rubbing now. Um, as it goes. But all things that, had I don't do what I did, actually just get the cheapest thing that could have saved me from spending another. Well, again, I myself got, lucky as far as cost is concerned. But in the case of the previous shocks, the bushings did wear out prematurely, but the shock getting straight bent and messed up, that's again because the shock was stopping. Like I was reaching the edge of the shock at tuck before the bump stop. I could have avoided that for $30. of bump stops. Like that was just dumb on my part, and again, I've rectified it now, but just don't just don't do what I did, okay? Like get longer, like extended bump stops, and they make progressive ones. Sumo Springs makes them, Timbren makes them, Duro Bumps makes them, Super Bumps makes them, Energy Suspensions makes them. Like everybody freaking makes them. And you can get them on Amazon. You can get them on, Real Truck or Extreme Terrain or whatever you want to get it on any site really. So get extended bump stops. Don't make the same mistakes I made. Um, so yeah, that's what's going on with my truck. That's all done now. Very expensive last couple of weeks with, you know, well, body mount shops cheap, extremely. I mean, I already had metal. I can weld. I have tools. I have grinders. I have the whole nine. So I mean, that was just time. I already had, flat black Rust-Oleum paint. No big deal there. But the suspension, I went ahead and redid my inner and outer control, or my inner and outer tie rods. I didn't definitely did not get any help on the upper control arms, so they were expensive. So it was an expensive endeavor. To do the suspension, so it would have been way worth it to just get the, bump stops. Idiot. But what do you do? Um, so that's going on, or went on, and that's done with. But I thought I'd pass that info on to you guys because I would never have looked at the that brand ever. Like if I was buying, just based on their previous, quality of stuff, reviews, it just, anyways, great stuff, like super nice. Um, so beyond thrilled with that. But anyways, so that's what's going on with that, in my truck and me and how we're going there. Another thing that I saw that's just a random overland thought is I went down a rabbit hole randomly one night about uh, air filters. And I had a dry K&N air filter. I got stock air box because I got a snorkel on it. And I watched like many videos down some deep dark hole about air filter particles getting through the filters and stuff. And I ditched that freaking K&N because it was getting like tons of dirt particles through it. Which again, it's higher flow, like duh, right? Like no crap. But so, anyways, I ditched that, um, just based on like independent research on that. So I was like, well, and a couple other like bigger overlanders and stuff. So they were talking about it a little bit, and you don't want to dust out your engine, dirty your oil, blah blah blah. I mean, stuff we all kind of know. So, anyways, I ditched it at that point. Went back to a paper filter. I was like, couldn't. That was just like such a small dumb thing I was doing too. So like, welcome to episode 12. Things that I just just did that weren't smart, like stuff I just did that was dumb, not thinking. And yeah, don't do what I did. So on to what I was going to get into is I wanted to talk about like the overland space right now. It's like a really weird time, and I'm passionate. Like I'm passionate about overlanding, but I'm also pretty passionate about like social media and overlanding. Actually, that's why I'm here. Like I'm pretty passionate about the YouTube creators, the podcasters, the like any of these brands or channels that are coming out, so we can all use it. Like we can have that type of inspiration, and we can have that type of entertainment based off of it. And there's times where like I was having a hard time getting into it, and there was videos out there that kind of helped me out, from creators. But what the reason I bring all that up is because that has drastically slowed down. A lot of the creators that I have watched or listened to podcasts as well, like there again, X Overland just came out with a new video. I do think that's inspirational for sure. I think that we are all can agree that's outside of most of our ability though, but super entertaining. But there's a lot of creators that were more like us that maybe we even might run into at an expo or out, somewhere. local to them. They're somewhat normal people. But I've noticed that um, social media as a whole, as far as like overlanding and even off-roading in a lot of these cases, like people I used to watch, it has drastically slowed down to the point I've been asking myself, like, did something change on YouTube? Like, did something and I don't know. I mean, hell, maybe one of these folks will listen on here, but I've noticed way less content and way more of the content that is there is that ASMR style content, which is just like, you know, tack tapping on, like it's silent, not silent, but no talking. And I'm just like, man, what's going on? I almost felt like I wanted to address it on a podcast because, like, somebody else has got to have noticed this. Like, I'm going back years to watch content because, like, I'm always trying to get ideas, whether they're from old stuff or new stuff or different people with different style vehicles, rigs, whatever. Like, everybody does something a little different, and I'm always trying to evolve what I'm doing to best suit me, but that doesn't mean all my ideas are original. So I'm always trying to learn something. And I've just noticed that lately, overlanding content's way down. I really like van life and really enjoy that content, and that's like almost doesn't exist. Everybody's leaving van life. Everybody's buying land or building a house. Like, really, right now, if you wanted to build a house and watch that on YouTube, like, through the roof, but I don't. So I'm noticing a huge shift there in the content that I'd been consuming. And I again I spoke about this earlier on a different episode. Like, I really enjoyed the content exploding during COVID because I'd been doing this so long that there really wasn't a lot of info out there. You know, there was a few. There was a few. There's some OGs and they're still kind of doing it, but they've slowed down even so. But I've really enjoyed it because I really like this hobby and the content was like abundant. And I don't know, it's 2024. Even last year the content was abundant. So I just don't know. I keep coming back to, like, what's changed? I felt like the industry was getting pretty commercialized, but in a lot of ways that would push content, I feel like, instead of di- you know, digressing essentially. So it's been real weird. But I was hoping to get it out here, and man, some people email me, whatever, Charlie at outskirtsoverland.com, or comment on YouTube, send me a DM on Instagram, whatever. And I don't say that to like plug it, but like, is anybody else noticing that content has like slowed down? Like, even me, as I put out this podcast every week, if you guys search on Apple Podcasts Overlanding, there's not very many of them that are uploading regularly even. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna be here, whether I'm talking to myself or a few of you guys listen, I'll be here, but, like, that's not my point in this, like, oh, what I'm like, about me, but, like, all this, it just seems like a big shift, and that shift is to less. And now, again, I'm sure that making videos is a ton of work. Even this podcast for me, it's like quite a bit of work. But like at the same time, like, I'm just passionate about it and I'm doing it for nothing. Like, I'm doing it for nothing. Like, even though you could say what you want to say, I got some shocks, like whatever my friends do, you know, Toyota trucks of Arkansas, etc. But like, none of that's monetarily helping me. Like Onyx Off Road, they're coming on. But like, no monetary help. Just, this is just people that I like and stuff that I've used. I've used Onyx for freaking ever hunting. It's been around for hunting forever, and so it's like a no brainer to do this, to do that. It's an awesome app. I use it. It's about all I use. I like it way better. So there we go. That's what I use already. But I just felt like everybody was having more content, and in some ways, and I don't know if this is, I love this hobby, but it takes dedication to pack all the stuff, get ready to go, it does take some dedication because at times, and I was just talking to a friend of mine about this earlier this week, like the amount of people that just bail on you, right? And so like going alone is like is typically my go-to. And not because I don't have friends that go, but like we might not all agree on where we're going even. Like they might want to go here and I might want to go there. So I kind of default to alone. And if I feel like being around people, I'll try to plan that like way out, but like something like bigger activity involved with it as well. Um, anyways, less about me, but I feel like sometimes that entertainment and that content, and these people, hopefully they listen to it because, like, as another, quote unquote creator in the space now, like, I don't rely on that content, but it does help get me out of a funk when I'm kind of like having a hard time to get out or clean my stuff, even, and I see somebody else and they're getting it, and I'm like, it's kind of like when you don't want to go to the gym and work out, but like then you do and you feel so much better after. It's exactly the same. Like sometimes I need to watch this guy that's doing it and be like, yeah, I really need to do it. And then I do it. And I'm so happy I did it. Well, now I'm finding different methods because that content's not as prevalent. There's a lot more still content. Like everybody's getting back into, look at what I got on Instagram, but it's just far less like, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm doing it. Here's, not necessarily here's the location where I'm going, but here's where I'm going. Here's me getting stuck, some of the struggles I had, stuff I've upgraded. Here I'm going to a trailer. Like I really, and here we are growing with my family doing it. Or, one of the creators, Epic Family Road Trip, they went from more people to less people. And, now they're empty nest sort of kind of. One of their sons is working for X Overland. The other son's doing his own thing on YouTube. Their daughter's doing something else. Like, but I don't know how else to say, like, I've enjoyed that and I feel like it is just way less now. And it's just real weird. So I wanted to bring it up on a podcast, just jabber away myself, because I have I've just it just seems like it's really freaking prevalent all of a sudden. But I don't know, maybe some of them will listen to this, maybe they won't, but I just wondered if anybody else was having that kind of experience cuz like you guys aren't. I mean, you can watch me. This will be on YouTube later. It's on YouTube right now, and I can be inspirational to you guys, hopefully. But I try to be more or less the open source guy. Like I'm just not a video maker editor, so I try to be at least knowledge for you guys. Hopefully, touch on topics, explain topics verbally for you guys that makes sense. To help you guys, make good consumer decisions and safety decisions and financial decisions, etc. Based on just my experience and some of my friends' experience, some things I've seen. But it does kind of stink, and I hope that whatever is going on, I don't have to go to every single. I don't have to pay for everybody's Patreon to do that. And now I say that, and that's kind of crappy. I get it. Um, it's kind of crappy, and I, these people need supported. I do agree with that, and somebody will say that. But man, that'd just be a bummer for me, and a lot of people. And I love that stuff, so it would just stink. So, anyways, I mean, there we are on that. That was my what's going on with social media, like just what's going on with it, my kind of what I'm seeing, wondering if anybody else is seeing it. Unfortunate. I'll be here, talk about whatever you guys want to, or just whatever I want to. Um, I am gonna have guests on more. I'm gonna do probably some tutorial stuff here coming up. Um, like showing you guys like exactly how I do some stuff. The sun's out a little longer now, so I can probably get on board with showing you guys a little bit more about like how I organize stuff, how I pack stuff, you know, the reason behind some of the things I have that you either have seen before or haven't, but nobody's explained. And how I use things I use. I'm very, I don't know, problem solver minded, I guess. I find unique ways to make stuff work. in pr- efficient ways. So, anyways, but so anyways, Justin, yes, you are about a half hour late. You didn't really, I mean, you didn't miss anything too detrimental, my man. Um, so for those of you listening, that's the chat. Um, so yeah, so as the weather changes here, and we just got this super gnarly weather with the wind, with the storms and everything. And again, I wouldn't advise anybody in the world to be camping in that. Like seriously, like I didn't go, and it was not a will thing. It was like safety. But it does make me think for all you guys that do go out in rooftop tents and stuff. Um, you know, take some cords, even my rooftop tent here, you see where I'm like, again, if you can't see me pointing at it, like I have a clamshell rooftop, or yeah, it's like a side clamshell rooftop tent, not a wedge, and it folds out over the top. I have seen where these things flip up in the wind, so bring some cords with you guys. Make sure you're securing your stuff down in the wind. It is spring. It does rain and get windy. Rain's heavy on stuff too. You don't want all your stuff collapsing and getting you wet and everything else. Make sure you're cording your stuff down. Um, make sure that's it's the worst when it's already raining and you're under an awning or something, and then it like totally gets annihilated by the wind, and now you're in the elements, and you broke something that's really expensive. Like, bring the poles, bring the tie downs, bring the stakes. Even though you got that rooftop tent, you can still stake down, the ladder, try and keep the wind from taking your stuff away. Um, for sure, something that I don't ever see, but I'm pretty sure every rooftop tent comes with stakes and guidelines for that exact reason. Um, if you're in a ground tent, make sure you're securing your stuff. You don't want your tent to just take off in the wind. It, that would be highly unfortunate as well. So just super duper duper windy lately, and it just weather sucks, which makes me want to just travel southwest where there just is less likely to happen. But that's neither here nor there. I will. I I I had a situation today where I thought I was going to get to go on a pretty large adventure. I guess I'll call it a venture. I always call it a road trip, but it's it's more than a road trip. There's camping and other stuff involved, and that kind of fell through like pretty quickly, and I'm still kind of bummed about it. I was like, let's leave the world behind. Let's go for a week. Like it's gonna be awesome. Like I was like, and then that kind of all just crumbled like about as fast as it spun up, and I was like, damn it, that sucks. So now I got the itch. Now I got the itch. I got to get out and do something. Um, for sure. I know there's some people out there that are listening to this that got it too. Like they got the itch. This weather, when it gets like this and I don't get to go out for a week or 2 weeks, like I had to work on my truck. That took time away. Now the rain and tornadoes and weather took my time away. Now I'm like, I gotta go. Like, and then it's getting to be like where everybody else is going to be going. So I'm going to have to go further, which is cool. I like that. It's no big deal. Um, but I mean, I got to get after it. I got to get after it. I like doing it so much. My book, I have a couple books that I read when I go out. My books are just sitting, not reading them, not making progress, not getting anything done on them because I haven't been out to read my books. I need to do that. Um, yeah, so that sucks. Real bad. Really sucks. But it is what it is, I guess. And life goes on, and so I'll go on another trip. It'll happen. But it's hopefully none of you guys got any hail damage. Actually, sorry, I didn't. I hope everybody's safe, but I hope all your stuff's not. Hope your stuff's okay too. If you situations. I have been trying to get content out to you guys on a more regular basis on my Instagram. My Instagram is going to be the place where you guys can catch all this. I have some people on right now. They're watching on Facebook. I just don't. I just don't post a lot on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. I'm live on Facebook right now. I just don't do a lot with Facebook, so if you guys really want to know what's going on with me or see what I'm doing or any of the people that are coming on the podcast or any of the people I'm interacting with, I share stuff from friends of mine, other creators, like that's all happening on Instagram. So hop on the Instagram. That's where you're gonna find it. That's where it is. Um, for for any of you. So that Justin just asked if he's the only one watching on YouTube. No, there's people watching. They're just not commenting, bro. So, and that happens every week. I got people that watch. They probably put me on. They're probably doing something else. They're not chatting. So, which is fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, they might be. Yeah, see, there you go. You're not. There you are. So, yeah, that's how it goes, man. I'm trying to do the stream. Some weeks are going to be more popular than other weeks. People got stuff going on. Quite frankly, right now, if I wasn't doing this, I'd have been mowing the grass. The weather sucked, and it doesn't suck right now, so I'd have been mowing the grass here in Missouri. But I do often have more people viewing than interacting, and that's totally fine. So, um, yeah, and yeah, I mean that's just the way it goes. I think that's probably how it goes for streaming. Yeah. I mean, it fluctuates too. So he said it looks like there's only a couple people on, and it'll go from like, I can see it here. Like when you're streaming, not that I want to get too much into what streaming is. I have very, you know, s- small subset of experience here. But sometimes it'll peak, like it'll go from like, it'll increase like 10 people and then back down. And like, so people like hop in, watch it for a minute, maybe not interested, hop out, et cetera, et cetera. Again, like I said, sometimes people will, you know, they'll interact. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they're busy. Sometimes they got stuff. A lot of people are listening to this after the fact. So that's also the case. I probably had my best. I mean, I definitely had my best cumulative week of listeners. So thank you guys all for that. Last week, it was probably like, I probably had like three times the people listen last week than my first month combined. So I'm getting, the people are listening. So, that being said, as we get into the rainy season and we're getting into camping and we're getting into, going out and it's rainy and it's wet and it's nasty, one thing I want to address is, well, first off, I believe we're out of diesel heater season. So we all just gained another 2 foot of space in our stuff. Um, First off. And secondly, we are now in sweaty, nasty, longer trips, hotter. What's going on? So one thing to bring up that I don't know if I've brought up previously. Um, and guys, make sure you're watching your toiletries, like for your own sanity. Like I've been on trips, and you get kind of nasty. I mean, I have a pump shower, like a pump water shower, like a solar one, kind of. But I also carry a lot of wipes with me, like shower wipes or soaps or something. So like think about that, guys, because we're getting into sweaty season, and there's nothing worse than when you get into the tent or whatever, the truck, the tent, insert sleeping place, and you kick off your shoes, and your freaking spouse or the person you're camping with wants to freaking vomit everywhere. So try try and be cognizant of that. Like make sure you're when when you're going camping that you're wearing wear technical fabrics that breathe. Make sure you're taking your stuff with you. And I don't say that like I'm some bougie camper by any means, but you also don't want to just be like straight rank for your own good either. Like, so make sure you're getting some shower wipes. Like, I think they make like, I don't know, they make a bunch of different bag shower wipes. Um, you can get them at REI. You can use baby wipes. Reverts back to a conversation I had. Um, Previously, make sure you got a place to throw them away. Don't throw them away out in the wilderness, but have them so you don't freaking stink all over the place. There's nothing worse than when you go camping with somebody and you're by the fire and you're cooking food and all you can smell is butt. Yeah, nobody like that. Nobody's about it. And you're gonna take off your shoes after 10, 12 hours of who knows what, and just it's gross. So don't be gross. Um, yeah, Justin just said I'm a truck driver and freaking I carry baby wipes all the time. And yeah, I mean, like just and it's real. Like I was in the military. It's to me, it's not like a weird thing. It's not even a novel thing. It's not like taboo. It's not weird. Like baby wipe showers. You know, get a water bottle. What I've done in the past before I had a shower is I'd get those big water bottles and I would poke a hole in the top with like a knife or what I've even used what am I thinking of? Cords. I've taken like pliers and straightened out the hook on bungee cord and slam it through a water bottle and then just like shower with the water bottle because now I got like a sprayer as I squeeze it. Like whatever. I mean, make it happen. Make it happen, Captain. Stay clean though. We've been in this colder weather and people aren't sweating and stinking and we're all trying to stay warm. Now we're in sweaty, stinky land where you need to start thinking about hygiene. Um, where you start thinking about hygiene and how you need to kind of keep yourself clean. Also, that way you don't get infections. Also, that way you're checking yourself for ticks and bug bites and insert any other hygienic stuff. Um, yeah, Tyson is on here, and Tyson just said totally shocking conversation. Funny story about Tyson and this specific. I have a lot of funny stories about Tyson because I go with Tyson. Okay, that's all there's to it, guys. We are not lovers. We're just friends. Okay, but anyways, story about Tyson is we were camping 2 years ago. I guess it was 2 years ago, and it was like September, October time, and it was like ridiculously hot for the time. And Tyson had like some waterproof hiking boots and like thicker socks. And I will never forget the noise. Ty is his fiance. They get up in the tent and he takes off his boots, and I just hear her just freaking, and he starts laughing, and I'm outside. I'm outside. I'm like by the campfire when they're going to bed, and she's like, "Oh my god, he just took his shoes off." So that's your commercial for wipes, guys. If you and again, had I been up there, I would have been totally talking crap too. I'd have been like, "Are you freaking kidding me right now? Get me out of this plastic bag of stink." I'm not about it. Um. So, anyways, keep just make sure you're paying attention to it. Also, it's getting warmer, so make sure you're paying attention to how you're packing your food. Make sure you're paying attention to pre-cooling your cooler. And I brought this, I'm gonna touch on so much stuff over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Pre-cool your cooler. Get your cooler inside. Get your cooler inside. Open it up. Let it cool down. Then put your ice and your food and everything in it. If you let it sit out in the sun, you load it up. You're already set up. You're not setting yourself up for success. Pre-cooler your cooler, whether that's a Yeti, even with your fridge. If you want to save any power, don't start don't power that sucker up in the sun or after it's been in your car or the garage. Get it inside, you know, open it up, let it get to room temp, start cooling it down. It's that time of year where that stuff's going to be extremely important. We're not going to be putting beers in the snow. We're not going to be putting meat in the snow. We're going to be putting those things in coolers, or it's going to go bad. It's going to be a big deal. That's a big deal coming up. I've been doing this since February. It's all winter, rain, warm. Now it's hot. Keep yourself cool. Don't make a mess. Don't be grody. Um, and Tyson just said he wears sandals or takes it off at the fire. And yeah, and I mean, it's such a little thing, and it's a funny story. It's nothing negative on Tyson, but it's a story that in an afterthought. It's just a complete and total afterthought. Like I have camping slippers. Some of my friends have camping slippers or flip flops or whatever, but don't be getting in your tent. Yeah, don't be getting in your tent and freaking, locking yourself into just miserable, you know, sauna of your own stank. It's not going to be awesome. It's not a smart idea at all. Um, One thing that I was going through some pictures today, and the thing I was noticing is I don't talk about this at all, and I think a lot of, anyways, I don't talk about it at all. But I was going to talk about leveling your truck when you get to camp. I have done a few different things for leveling your truck at camp. I see a lot of people use like, and when I say leveling your truck at camp, for those of you guys that are listening, I mean like when you get to a camp spot, if you use a rooftop tent or you sleep in your truck, you don't want to be going on some extreme incline, decline, leaning to the left, leaning to the right. So you want to try and level your truck out. Um, so I use a bunch of different methods. So So one thing I did on my truck, Tyson is in the chat asking me to talk about it. I got little levels. They're little. They're like 2-inch levels. And I put one on the back of the rack and one on the side of the rack, and they're butted up to one corner. So I can see if it's level, you know, front to back and side to side, just like, and I just double sided taped them to my Prinsu rack, which is my roof rack that my tent sits on. But you could easily put them on, I mean, a tailgate, whatever, anything. They just stick on. You could put them somewhere. I also been looking and found like one that goes in your cup holder that's like more of a circle and it's more spherical, so it can cover all the angles. So if you're somebody that wanted to do it from inside, but either way, that's what I use to find out if my rig is level. But to level it, I don't use rocks. I actually use go treads, and I carry both go treads and max tracks um, for different reasons of my own. I mean, you don't need both, but I usually level my truck with those. Um, with with I usually level my truck predominantly with the go treads because you can stack them higher, so they're just a multifunctional tool at that point. Max tracks, now you can use them as a shovel, and they help. And max tracks are, well, I've never used a go treads as go treads, quite honestly. To be completely honest with you guys, I got them. I could use them as go treads. I think there's situations where a go tread would be nice because if you don't know what a go tread is, it's like a blocked, like, and it folds up. It's like a blocked recovery device where a max track's like a solid device. And the bigger form factor of those go treads go right up into their own little case, and it's super convenient, and I love that. Um, but I use them to level my truck. I'm trying to think. No, in this picture that I have as my background, you guys can't see it, but I'm sure there's go treads under it. So I always use some type of something that's not like a rock or something. As I've seen, like those are kind of pointy and they can kind of be getting into your tire. And man, that always just kind of sketches me out that that's how you're leveling your rig. And it creates like a fulcrum. Like if you're up there moving around, like I might not look like a huge guy on this podcast, and I'm definitely not a tall guy, but I'm not a small guy. So I mean, as I roll over and stuff, I don't be falling off some rocks. I want to have a little more steady footing for my truck. So that's something that I do like clockwork, like not even a thought. I got those levels on the sides. Got them at a camping world for, I don't even know, a couple bucks. Not expensive. I could tell you that. And make sure I'm leveled out. It just makes for such a better sleep. Before I really made an effort to level out, man, it you could get like you could wake up kind of crappier. Like you could wake up shittier because you're all jacked up sleeping. So a that's like a weird, easy thing to do that everybody should be doing is leveling out their truck. I mean, I'm not saying you got to buy Go Treads or Max Tracks. Get some blocks. I mean, whatever. But you should definitely be aiming to level your stuff out. And if you tent camp, you should be aiming to find a level spot. So, and Tyson just said they'd make those levels like I had that I stuck on with magnets. Um, they also have apps for your phone. I just like having the two axes. So you could easily get that with magnets. So that's something to get for sure. I think that's I got there's so many little dumb things that I have that I've done. It'd probably be better for Tyson to talk about stuff that he's noticed I have than to me think about it. Tyson or Brad, but Brad's like can't gun shy, so I don't know if we'll ever talk to Brad. But I'm always finding little trinkety stuff, trying to bridge the gap between trying to bridge the gap between when I lived in a camper and now and doing this more often. So that's where like making sure you're level, huge. Making, having stuff to make that easier to do, huge. Making sure you're not under, don't be under widowmaker trees that are going to fall and just wreck your actual life. Making sure you're not like in dangerous spots in general. A lot of that's just stuff I learned over years, and I lived in a camper for years, more than 1 year, like for life, all the time. Which is again why I think van life would be amazing for me. Um, Tyson just brought up I have red lights everywhere. I do have red lights in my truck. I do have red lights in the back of my truck. I do have portable red lights. I do have a Devos Light Ranger with a red filter. And the reason I have that is because it doesn't affect your eyes. So like if you're in the dark for a while and you look at a brighter light, it kind of kills your natural night vision. And white light also attracts bugs and a bunch of different things. White light's gonna illuminate things a little differently. So red light kind of keeps away bugs, keeps your night vision. It doesn't have as far of a reflective property. So if you're trying to be a little more stealthy, again, it's a red light. You can still see it, but not quite like a white light. So red lights is for sure a more functional light than a white light. Even in my truck, all the lights, interior lights are red, and mine don't switch to white. They're red all the time. Every time you open the door in my truck, the lights are red. They're LED and they're red. The lights in the back of my truck, in the bed, red. Portable lights, red. Everything I got is a red light. I don't have any other stuff that's white except my headlights. Um, and there's a lot of health benefits to red light. Absolutely and positively has nothing to do with why I have red light. When I was in the military, you always used red light because if the light was low, like say the moon wasn't low, you'd know what the night's illumination was, for instance. So you'd always want to use red light because you'd want to maintain the best night vision that you could have. Um, White light is extremely detrimental to your function in the dark. It's great if you have continuous light, but it's not good. And you can look at a red light in the dark and still like get away from the red light and see in the dark better. That's a more of a tactical thing, but also, I'm somewhat light sensitive. I don't. y- I mean, everybody now makes a 95,000 million lumen light, and I'm over here like, dude, candles are too bright. I like red light, so I'm a big. I am a very big ambient light person. I don't even like direct light um, for the same purposes, but red light's a big deal. You spend some money getting red light. It's going to take you some time to find red light. It's not easy to find red light stuff or red light filters for stuff you already have, but it'll be worth it for you, I promise, for your eyes. And like Tyson said, it's harder to see from a distance. Like if somebody was, it's not as intrusive on other camps either, I guess is a good way to put it. Like my red light's never going to shine in a way that gets in another person's eyes. Like whether, and I don't camp with people much, but like if you're shining a flashlight, your 75,000 billion lumen Surefire, somebody 600 meters away, you could blind them. You're never going to do that with a red light, and you're still going to be able to see. Even my headlamp has a red light. Um, so yeah. Anyways, so you're also not going to be intrusive on anybody else, whether you're going with friends, family. There's other people around. You're not going to be inconveniencing anybody. I do have to say that's one thing that I actually dislike when we go to events is the flashlight folks. So if you're flashlight folks, stop with the flashlights. Get a headlamp and look at the ground. Like I don't want to keep getting blinded by your $1,700 flashlight. I hate you, flashlight people. Stop. That is probably the most brutal thing. Or the people that when we go to these expos come in at like midnight with their freaking off-road lights on. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know what there's a better option, but like, damn it. You're waking everybody up. Ah. Anyways, but I love the expos. I love the people. I do realize not everybody is even thinks about that stuff. Like again, I do realize there's levels to the shit, you know. So people just don't. Sometimes people just don't know. Like, and there's cool factor lights and different things, and I get it. And EDC, and I get it. I gotcha. But keep it EDC, like not for camping. Um, just welcome to my TED talk. So, um, but yeah, one thing that's on my list right now on my radar. Tyson actually just brought it up. He brought up a suction cup paper towel holder. Paper towels are something that getting a solution for when you're camping, man, it is tough. I mean, I see a lot of guys, girls, guys, whoever, they put like a bungee cord. They put like a bungee cord across their rig to some extent and put paper towels on it. They unroll though. There's a company, Expedition Essentials. They make like a super nice metal magnetized. It's got like a flap that goes over and holds your paper towels. Man, it's a lot of money, but paper towels are something they're like a trash bag. Like you don't even know you need them until you don't have them, and you're like, how do I, how do I, how do I wipe anything off here? Like, what do I do? And again, you get a rag, you use your shirt, you could just wash your hands and let them air dry. I mean, I'm being, dramatic to some extent, but that's a that's I mean, that's a thing that I'm always kind of going back and forth on. Harbor Freight, paper towel holder, the nice paper towel holder, you know. That's where I got to start bouncing it off my girlfriend because she makes better decisions than I do. I'll buy something purely based on, I don't know, a review somebody else had or that it looks cool or that is cheaper in some instances and probably 10 out of 10 times that screws me. So I revert to her most of the time or at least I mean her for sure and if I potentially disagree with her, like if she doesn't have enough logic coming at me, I might be like, I got to ask somebody else too. Um so it, yeah. Tyson brought up the bag I throw under my truck. You talking about my clothing bag, Tyson? I think he's talking about my clothing bag. I carry my clothes in a completely waterproof duffel bag so that I can just chuck them under the truck. So, yeah, that's what he's talking about. Okay. So I carry all my clothes in a completely waterproof bag, duffel bag, and I throw them under the truck in the evening, and my stuff will never get wet. But that's so that I can open up space in the back of my truck. Because as we're at camp, you're moving the propane and chairs and different stuff. You don't want to keep putting your clothes and stuff back in. So I take that bag out. It's like the last thing I'm gonna need. Throw it under the truck. It's fully waterproof and everything. It's also bright freaking yellow, like so bright yellow. If that bag was black, I would run it over. I would completely and totally forget it. I 100%. And that's something else I do all the time. Like my keys are right here. Bright orange keychain. Bright freaking orange. Bright orange. blue. Like I gotta have stuff that's colorful. Phone case, bright freaking yellow and orange. I lose stuff. I lose stuff like it's going out of style, man. So it always makes sense. It always makes sense to me to have bright stuff, so that I can locate it and not forget it. Anything that's black, gray, green, brown that blends in, it's a waste. I will completely and totally forget it somewhere. So I do make a point, and that again, I spent hundreds, maybe $1,000 on crap that I've forgotten. So don't be dumb like me. Even my cups at camp and everything, bright freaking red. Everything is orange or red or yellow or lime green, or I lose too much stuff. So that's something to maybe consider too if you guys start going a lot. Like if you drop something, and we've all done it, and if you haven't done it, you're gonna do it. You're gonna drop something, you're gonna be looking for it forever because it's, you know, black. My crap is brighter than bright. Like if I don't find it, somebody else probably gonna find it. Or, it's super bright. It's like I think that's why tennis balls are the color they are. You can always find them somewhere. So, but anyways, I mean, I'm sure I could go on all day about just little stuff when the chat brings in here. But one thing I've never done, I want to bring this up to Justin. Justin's on here, and he said the best sleep he's ever had is in a hammock. I've never slept in a hammock. I've never even sat in a hammock, guys, ever. My friend Brad hammock hammock camps. His friend Justin hammock camps. My girlfriend has a hammock. Tyson has a hammock. I've never even been in a hammock ever. Never sat in a hammock. Never done. I'm a structure person. I don't know that it can't for vigilance purposes, guys. I don't think I could get out of a hammock fast enough, to be a defensive individual in a less than ideal situation. And I base most decisions in my life off of that one factor. Do I have advantage? Can I get in and out of it quickly? Like, am I vulnerable? Can I see? But that's me. Again, guys, you don't have to you don't have to adopt all that. Like I said, I was in the military. I did combat things, so that's still in my mind 100% of the time, all the time, where I sit, what I do. So that doesn't have to be you, but a hammock seems like a tactical inefficiency. So I don't do hammocks. Um, I've never been in one on purpose. It's on purpose. It's not on accident. So comfort, great. Defend your position, not so great. But y- yeah, tater chip, you got to set it up correctly. I mean, yeah, by not getting in it, sit in a chair. Sorry, I just talk shit all the time, but it's never gonna be for me. You guys can, you can set up your defense position from a hammock if you want. It's not gonna be my choice ever. um, but whatever. That's a little thought. That's probably a little more personal look into my mind than than any of you guys care to even know about. Which brings me to, I'm gonna hop off here in just a second. It's been an hour and I've just been jabbing. But if you guys have any interest in a discussion about like stuff I carry for that, like that kind of stuff, like EDC stuff, or what I carry, based on like, you know, preparedness, protection. If that interests freaking anyone, um, I I mean I'd be happy to talk about EDC stuff, knives, flashlights, like stuff that I carry on a regular basis or when I go camping, and how I kind of integrate that in, because I do go camping with other people. They got their kids. Um, they got their kids. You want to make sure everybody's protected. A guy that's like one friend removed from me, Baker Overland, has a video out on YouTube, and I'd recommend you all go watch it, about like a sketch situation that happened out at Frog Bayou Falls in Arkansas, and it's scary. And that just further solidifies my mindset, to be quite honest with you guys. But I would recommend all of you guys as you get into camping and it's summer. That I don't want to spoiler alert on that video, but look at Baker Overland on YouTube, and he's got a video, and I'm sure it's by far his most popular video. It is a fantastic video, and it's a story about something that happened to him, and he had his kids, and they were camping, and it didn't end up bad. So I guess I'll spoil that. Like it's not bad, but like it does make you consider like just be safe. Like be safe, and what does safe mean to you? So think about that, guys. I would really appreciate anybody that listens to this. Man, guys, you guys are crap at writing me anything. I want to know what topics you guys want to talk about. Like I just said, I talked about red light. I talked about bags. I talked about social media. I am here to talk about whatever in the overland space, in the outdoor space. Period. I am trying to get a couple more interesting people on, but schedules are uh, hard to line up, especially different time zones, different days of the week. Um, So it's just hard to get the some interesting people that you guys all want to talk to. So sometimes you just gotta be interested in me because that's what I'm gonna have. Um, but please, 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 please email me, comment, DM me something. What are you guys looking at, interested in? Let me do some research on it. What opinions do you want? I have beyond been impressed actually with how many of you guys were interested in my free campsites, my free camp podcast. And naturally, as I already knew, the 12-volt podcast, still the best performing podcasts I have, videos I have. Um, so, I mean, but that's out there now. Anyways, so hey guys, have a good evening. I'll see you guys next week. Next week, I'll probably be getting a little more into trip planning, events coming up, like maybe how I plan stuff with kids and family. Because it is that time of year to start planning for those things. The hot months are around the corner. It's May 1st now, as Justin Timberlake would say, you know it. Um, so I'll probably do a little more on that, getting ready for that. I will be uh, bringing some screen share on about how to waterproof your stuff as well. I also mentioned treating your stuff for bugs earlier, and I'll be showing you guys what that stuff is as well. So hope to see you guys next week. It might be just me. It might not be just me. So the topic I have lined up for next week about planning trips, I could do that with somebody else too and still get some quality questions answered. So by all means. But please, guys, please, 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 please leave a comment on the podcast, a review, a comment on the YouTube video. Send me an email, DM me on Instagram. I don't want this for algorithm purposes. I want it for catering to what the hell you guys want to listen to purposes. So help me out. Help me help you, or I'll just jabber about stuff forever. So have a good night. I'll see you guys next week. And